time, Chapter 1. When interacting with the highest threat level to world peace, downshift to neutral, then released to autopilot soundlessly. When interacting with the highest threat level, should we start going, when interacting with the highest, are we going, yeah, threat level to world peace, downshift to neutral, then release to autopilot soundlessly, hike above hypervigilance to globally impervious, while descending to nuclear capacity, to forget, invisible to radar or any known detection capability. That's my motto. Descending to nuclear. Carry on. All right. Sorry. Carry on, exchange, overlaid by 3D projection. Record voice inflection ranging from underwater dragon to frog. It's measure depth charge implied. Excuse me. In gurgling. Measure depth charge implied in gurgling. Disregard unintelligible words as purposely obscure. Yeah, seriously. On purpose, really. Oh my God. Take notice how soon any element of threat is introduced. Here it comes. I hear you are a communist. No preamble, no. I hear you're a communist. That dragon gurgles. Excuse me. Oops. As you seat yourself in your father's house on a chaise lounge by his pool, when you look up in all innocent incomprehension at being accused of being a communist, and it is followed up with, you're gurgle, you're responsible for our losing the war in Vietnam, gurgle. Before you had a chance to reply, remain silent. It's important, remain silent. Having by now taken all required measurements of threat assessment. So that's been done, it's high. So, what is there to say? Okay. Yeah. Okay. After your father's death, Dragon Gurgler, and he controls all your money. As if enjoining you. After your father's death, Dragon Gurgler informs you that he controls all your money. Excuse me. Again, you're unable to reply, not knowing this new game, how to play, or what you're supposed to do. Twice more after your father's death, Dragon Gurgler informs you he controls all your money, as if enjoining you to participate in a form of gameplay of which you are unfamiliar. Nothing registers in your entire lifetime experience to which you can fall back on. What does that mean? You control the money. Then one day, in Dragon Gurgler's office, He comes out from behind his desk, lips pursed, arms open and beckoning. You are taller than him, and within 2 large steps are beside his closed office door. Excuse me. Dragon Gurgler continues his pursuit. You manage to reach the door before him and open it narrowly, squeezing through while saying in passing, "Please give my love to your wife." Later, it turns out Dragon Gurgler's head of security has witnessed this entire scene and is himself taken back. Dragon Gurgler's head of security subsequently takes on security of one of the biggest, most controversial movie stars in the world, who makes a movie exposing some of Dragon Gurgler's, crimes against humanity. Operation Paperclip, MK Ultra, and so forth. Including the murder of your own father. Oh my gosh. Which, having witnessed, you already knew about. I know, nevertheless, you are shocked. Oh, I'm sorry, excuse me, I'm busy. Oof. Nevertheless, you are shocked at this confirmation of unspeakable horrors, which you can no longer shake off like some bad dream. Now, at what point did you become an observer and not a participant? Was it when you were strapped to a gurney and syringes are plunged into your eyebrows every other week, 5 or 10 on each side? Experiments conducted in the clinic your father has created to address your hair falling out rather rapidly. Perhaps as apology to your brother, although in truth you never told. Nevertheless, your hair is flat as if in fright. Mother cautioned you not to be so dramatic when you can't breathe in the back seat of the Bentley as she smoked so vociferously on the way to the clinic in the city, where you went every week. Anyway, and one day your eyebrows puffed up from the shots, bulging even to obscure your eyes, so that you are wearing you're wearing dark glasses. Okay, that was. Then there's the one day. And one day your eyebrows puffed up from the shots. Excuse me. Bulging even to obscure your eyes, so that you're wearing dark glasses. Not even allowed to take them off and show Truman, who afterwards met us in the apartment. You were told to go to your room, just as I had been ordered never to ever speak openly about losing my hair and never to take off my wig. Truman would have been tremendously simpatico. Oh, Truman's sweet. To me. Truman would have been tremendously simpatico at the sight of my misshapen gargoyle eyes, so that you, and eyebrows. But just as when my pug died, unexpectedly, I had to go ahead and bury him alone. I had to go ahead and bury him alone with the gardeners. Mummy really was quite cold and dissatisfied with my not properly brushing my wig. Okay, wait a second. Okay. One day, hopefully, you ask her as she passes on the second floor of the big house, if because I had lost my hair, wouldn't maybe I have a bigger brain? She replies scornfully, of course not, dismissing me in a way my superior brain told me was not appropriate. I was only a child. Expressing myself was always curtailed strenuously. Then came the day my adored father told me the inheritance his parents, excuse me, the inheritance his parents had left me was too much for me and for me to sign it over to him. Expressing myself, I said no, had serious consequences. I was exiled, banished from the family, followed a few years later by Truman, also being exiled. Banished. Truman, who called the main character in his magnum opus Kate, struck a hidden nerve. The public would not know, could never know. But of course, Truman identified with me. And there were so many secrets. Truman, who was so tiny, but you never really thought of it, he was so perfectly proportioned. And he was my size at the time. And, well, Mummy had a little bit of that Munchausen by proxy thing going. Truman, Truman makes me think of tea time at our house. It's in the library at our house. It's in the library, enveloped on three sides by French doors, letting in the balletic, dappling sunlight from those magnificent beech trees that anchored the terrace just outside, leading to Mummy's sprawling gardens. Excuse me. But first, let's go get some baby vegetables. Petit pois, the tiniest, most innocent peas, bursting with sweet earthiness, but as if from heaven. On their own little plates, placed unexpectedly on the right of the lunch plate, the salad plate to the far left, already layered with greens. The innocence of these little peas, naked, defenseless, picked barely a moment before, a genius kind of move, tender as the night, essence of spring, to die for, sheer poetry. I was in exile not long after that. I wondered at that pinnacle. It must have kept going higher after I was gone. These baby vegetables appearing such purity to offset the marathon of dishes, bringing us all back to Eden's simplicity, naked innocence from the womb of the earth, born just for that moment. Of course, imbibing. His audience, his personage, a literary soliloquy, all but guaranteed. Mummy and Truman outdoing each other. The treasure of Truman, a bona fide master, rootless of pure mountain springs. This whole ecstasy of the best of the best of the very best, with his audience recording in his photographic memory that not a tiny petit pois was wasted, reflecting Monsieur the Petit himself. Truman could be so soigné. He could shrug off cascades of temptation to balance out any attempt to be higher brow than himself. Because, his turf. Okay. Attuned doesn't begin to describe his multi-level gifting, his soaring aptitude, his eyes becoming slivers of boredom as he greedily took everything in. He wasn't just feigning. This was part of his dance to position himself and not embarrass anyone thinking to gain a point at his expense. So don't even try, don't flatten you. Where am I? A grand showman disguised as humble literary genius. Because, he got the whole, it was not a, anyway. Meanwhile, me being in exile was starting to raise quite a few eyebrows because, well, not even 21, alone, wandering the wilderness years, let's call them. And then Truman in exile, and there were divorces, suicides. Goodness gracious, I suppose I've seen the very tippy top with those petits pois. The revelatory introduction of those petits pois, the tiny baby peas, appearing, it was all downhill from there. And Truman eventually in exile too, after me. Scapegoat, speaking truth to power and all that. As a bit of conspiratorial alliance, my mother teaming up with the son of her first marriage to sanction his abuse of me, her protection, coddling of a man behind the scenes of a mean, behind the scenes bully, that Stormtrooper welling for my benefit. I don't know, my dad was a bit out of it, dying and all, as he lay hooked up to the dialysis machine they had placed in Mummy's bathroom at 8:20, so Dad wouldn't have to go to the hospital. In comes said Stormtrooper as I sat with Dad while he lay snoozing on the hospital bed, hooked up to the machine. It was very quiet. Then the Stormtrooper bursts in, pauses in his march around the bathroom to announce triumphantly, but for whose ears, well, then turning on his heels, marching out the way he had burst in like a soldier atop the clock, well, like, what's all that, I mean, dear Lord. Perhaps the dissociation began when the nurse informed me that my mother instructed her to tell me I was going to hell for the molestation, the sexual abuse, this son of her first marriage was forcing on me behind closed and locked doors, which was preceded by a good amount of arm twisting, because I'd of course been sworn never to tell, in fact, all my life, to this day, and I never told. I was stunned not being able to parse out all the ramifications of this communication from my mother through my nurse, except the next time my older half-brother came up behind me to twist my arm behind my back and marched me to his bedroom, I announced in no uncertain terms, "You're going to hell." Okay. And when I was 5 years old, 6, "You told," he said back in fury. I had never told. To navigate such terrain, having a fixed point on the horizon becomes essential. An ability to read the stars in the night sky and so forth. And so began my quest to find such a point of measure to guide me, as so much of the world seemed to flip its expectations. I needed a map which could see beyond what seemed apparent but turned out not to be true, as this was the reality unfolding before me. What was there to believe in? So